So what you're seeing here is Appboy is a CRM platform for mobile-first marketers. In essence, what you're seeing here is really at the core of what our platform is. Every single downloader of your application, every single web user is the Appboy platform generates this user profile for every single user. So really when everyone talks around kind of this holistic view of their consumer across channels, across screens, very few companies can actually deliver against this proposition. And in Appboy, we think we're really onto something. So what I thought I'd do is I've got 9 minutes, right? So when you talk about CRM platforms, can you really demo a CRM platform in 9 minutes? Well, I'm going to give it a shot. So individual user profile, what we can then do at scale is obviously create automated marketing messages to these users across right channel, right time, right message, and hyper-personal, right? So every single data point that you see on this user profile is actionable from a segmentation standpoint and can work its way into the personalized message as well. So what I'll do really quickly is create a simple segment. Looking at our guy Neil here, you can see all his engagement preferences. Is he opted in for email? Is he opted in for push? Any of the campaigns that he's received, what he's interacted with, the segments that he's moving in and out of based on his real-time behavior, any type of feedback that he submitted, and all his social preferences as well, okay? So real quickly, I go in here, create a simple segment. I had a couple tests. I'll go wired demo, name it. And you can see right out of the gates, these are the platforms that we support. So holistically, you can have all your apps. If you have iOS, we support Baidu Push out of China, Windows, Android, iOS, as well as our web SDK. So just for simplicity, I'll turn a couple of these off. And you can see that 120,000 people, that total universe, you can see in real time it's going to equate as we continue to basically filter this segment. So maybe we don't need Windows. We're not talking to China. We'll turn off our web SDK. We're down to about 83,000 folks, right? Okay. And then here's the real magic of the system is the filtering, is any type of custom element, custom attribute, which is obviously a personality trait, or custom event, like a abandoned cart, can work its way into this segmentation filter. So just for simplicity, say we wanted to talk to maybe lapsed users. So last used app, say more than 10 days ago. You can see we're down to about 62,000 people, okay? I'll save this real quick. And then again is what we can then do as marketers is create a campaign to those folks. And it'll go to those folks that haven't been in an app in 10 days, and obviously at a personal level, it'll deliver a very personal message across the most relevant channel. So you can see holistically as a marketer, we can go in and create one dimension. So if we just wanted to send a push, if we just wanted to send an email, you can multivariant test on any of those channels as well and optimize accordingly. Or we have what you call a classic campaign, which is more than one of those channels. And I'll create a simple classic campaign, and you can see how easy our composer is then as well. So go in, hit classic, and within the same dashboard, you can go on and turn on any of those messaging channels, right? So maybe we'll do an email. We will send an iOS push, and we'll do an in-app message. And you're seeing there, obviously, all the functionality here within the composer is up to date as iOS and Google update new features and functionalities for their respective platforms. That's automatically captured within the Appboy dashboard itself. Deep linking, so if we wanted to push these lapsed users into a different part of the app or even push them to your online site, you can do that within Appboy. Support deep linking. Images, so if you want to send messages that are on brand and on point, all that can be done within the Appboy dashboard. We support wearables, so you can kind of see here, if we're an iOS push, you can see how it renders. Hey, Matt, I'll pull in this is all the personalized information. So again, if we went back to that user profile, all that personal information that was on that user profile, you can pull in to obviously personalize that message. So again, as we can create these segments at scale, and then obviously push out these messages automated that are very, very hyper-personal and relevant. So things I want to show really quick. Where it gets really exciting is some of the predictive elements. So as it suggests, really dynamic delivery system. So we created a segment of folks that haven't been in the app in 10 days. We're going to create an iOS push to those folks. And what you can see is you have very unique delivery options. So scheduled delivery, time sensitive. I want to send this message now. You can do that accordingly. Action-based delivery, obviously, as that suggests, specific triggers. So perhaps an abandoned cart. Maybe I bought a product. Maybe I liked a product within one of my social networks. Any of those events can trigger any type of messaging campaign as well. What's really interesting and is unique to Appboy is we have an intelligent suite of products as well that's based on predictive learning. So intelligent delivery right here kind of takes the guessing out of delivery. We are like, when's the most opportune time to send that message so that folks really optimize and engage with it? And so what intelligent delivery does is across every single user, across every channel, it'll look at their historical behavior and say, you know what, Matt's usually in SoundCloud between 7 and 8 in the morning on his way to work. Let's send him the app message there. So if we're both in the same segment and you're maybe in SoundCloud at night and I'm in the morning, we're going to get that message at different times. And that's, again, based on basically your predictive learning. So the app will look at all your historical behavior and optimize at the individual user level. Really dynamic triggering as well. So say I want to send a push message 5 minutes after an abandoned cart. If I do interact with that, it will obviously suppress the push, so I do not get that communication. So again, that earlier comment regarding kind of moving in and out of segments, it's all captured in real time. So all that data is very, very clean. We work with some apps, including SoundCloud, as I referenced, the online dating app called Tinder. We work with Lyft. We work with some wonderful UK brands, Just Eat, Metro, Halo. So some of the world's largest apps are now really starting to use Appboy as their CRM platform across all their channels. Any questions so far as I rattle through my 9-minute demo? Yeah?
Very robust tool. It looks very interesting. So it seems to capture what customers tell you, choose to tell you.
Yep.
So how aware is it of your implicit behaviors or your offline behavior? Because this seems to capture what you're doing online.
Yep.
What does Appboy do in the physical world?
Yeah, it's a really fair question. As you can imagine, obviously it picks up a lot of your online and in-app-based behavior. We're also rolling out really interesting data enrichment partnerships, and I'll give you an example of one. There's a company in New York called PlaceIQ, which basically has tremendous data in terms of locations. And what they're able to do is create segments based on your location behavior. So say I went to Lululemon 6 times in a month and went by a yoga studio maybe 4 times a month. It's going to assume that I'm a yoga enthusiast, right? So that's a location filtering. And some of that information, what we're working with PlaceIQ is those peak personas can become data enrichment fields within the Appboy dashboard. So looking at your offline behavior can be data overlays that work their way into the Appboy dashboard. In addition to that, with PlaceIQ, a really interesting data enrichment point, what we're calling home versus work. So it'll be able to tell us, is someone at home or is it someone at work? And I can send that message accordingly, that I only want to send this push message when someone's at home or at work. So that, those are elements where, again, we're kind of ingesting offline data and working it into the dashboard and making it actionable from a segmentation standpoint.
Well, I mean, I guess what I really wanted to know is, so can you give me kind of more examples of, say, how Tinder are using this?
Spot on.
Yeah, I mean, because you're working with some really big companies here.
Yeah.
So just talk me through a typical Tinder interaction.
Yeah, so Tinder, it'd be everything from, there's a lot of discovery kind of stats out there that if I can get you to do a certain amount of things within the first 4 or 5 days, I'm going to keep you engaged, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of, Tinder just turned us on. So a lot of the ways that they're starting to use us is onboarding their users in a really impactful way. So creating segments of new users and then pushing out messages to showcase different features and functionality. At the same time, and say I haven't been in the app in 4 days, and they want to bring you back, Tinder can create that segment, understand which channels you have turned on and off, and push that message out to you to bring you back to the app and really keep you engaged.
Okay, and so say hypothetical scenario, I've got Tinder, SoundCloud, and Lyft.
Yep.
And they're all going crazy, sending me push notifications.
Yeah.
Are you offering any kind kind of, like stepping outside and being able to say, listen, Tinder, like SoundCloud are doing this right now.
Yeah.
Hold off, or is everything just completely unique?
It's a great question. Everything currently is unique in the sense that I'll go into the Tinder house and I'll see all the data within my kind of Tinder. So what campaigns has users received from Tinder? The way push technology works with push tokens is, to a certain degree, that platforms do have a certain autonomy. With push notifications, obviously it comes in real times. With in-app notification centers, obviously it's a bit more around whoever's on top is going to win, so to speak.
Yeah, and I mean, and then finally, I mean, you've got to a really kind of big level now. Where does this go in the future? Where, what's the big vision?
It's a great question.
Because you showed us a demo. Normally there's so much big vision.
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, should I show a demo? No one's really showing demos, but it's a great product, and what a better way to showcase a product than show a demo. We're a Series B company. We're based in New York. Right now we see ourselves as becoming a real formidable competitor to the traditional clouds. They've architected tremendous web systems, but folks aren't really looking at it from a mobile standpoint, and it's much easier for us to build a mobile product and go back versus a web product and build a mobile product. So we see ourselves as becoming a cheaper, much more simplistic, much more robust CRM platform for the traditional enterprise. Because a lot of our kind of early traction, to your point, has been big mobile first folks, and that's really where our heartland is right now. But more and more so, obviously, that traditional enterprise is going to figure out that holistic view of their consumer, and they're going to need platforms like an Appboy.
Okay, great, thank you.
Well, you answered a fair number of my questions, because I was about to ask. I know you're very well funded and very slick as a business. This was a great product demo, but I didn't really hear enough about the business.
Yep.
Who are your competitors? I don't know enough about this space to have any thoughts, so appreciate that. You've obviously got some great client base within the big global apps, but who are some of the other more traditional enterprisey ones? A bit more about your scale-up strategy, just a little bit more about the actual business, because all I saw here was a product demo.
Yep. So the business is, as I mentioned, we're Series B. We're just under about 100 folks now in New York and San Francisco. I see kind of an immediate peer group, and then I see kind of where we're headed in terms of that competitive question.
Both would be great. Thank you.
There's been some great tech companies that have really put mobile CRM on the map. A company called Urban Airship that you may be familiar with, that really, from a scale standpoint, really put push on the map and de-risked it as kind of as a mobile kind of channel, so to speak. And there's really strong kind of app analytics platforms like Localytics you might be familiar with. So what Appboy's done is holistically kind of married that spectrum. So whereby Urban was very, very strong in automation, they struggled sometimes as it relates to really understanding who that consumer was at the end of the day. And whereby Localytics is a very strong analytics product, from an automation standpoint, they're potentially going to struggle. And so what Appboy's done is married the two. That's where we're currently at. Where we think we're headed is obviously to the clouds. Is more and more so, I think companies are fed up, to be honest, with 7-figure contract deals and a year to implement these systems. And Appboy is much more agile, much more flexible than you can imagine. And so to your right, currently we're a little out of balance.
So we're running out of time.
Well, just one very last question. So do you really term yourselves as a startup?
Okay, you've got to make it quick, both of you.
Yeah.
Just very quick question. Are you really a startup, or are you more growth, scale up? Because you're going to go for the next big rounds if you've already raised $22.5 million.
Startup is, it's subjective, right? Is like where, I would say we're, in the early stage phase, so.
Okay.
But it's a fair question.
Thank you very much. Brilliant. Oh, yes. Sorry.